Hello there, BookTube. My name is Daniel. Welcome back to my channel, Guilty Feet. I really have got no rhythm. And today I want to talk about an article that went up in the New York Times a couple of days ago where they listed the top 50 thrillers of the 21st century. This is a follow-up to the list they put out a couple of years ago where they did the top 100 books of all kind of the 21st century, and they had this methodology where they reached out to a bunch of bookish people, got them to send in their top 10 and then compile this list, and it's just fodder for endless conversations. How many have you read? Do you think this list is justified? What's missing from the list? I can't believe that book did so well, and if you're sort of vaguely bookish, then lists are just super fun, not least because of the conversations they start. So they've gone back to the well. This was a formula that was then taken on by lots of other news organizations around the world because it drives enormous traffic, which is the reason why, one of the reasons why the New York Times does it in the first place. They've gone back to well, and this week they published the top 50 thrillers of the 21st century, where the word thriller is not clearly defined, and I think when you look at some of these books, fairly loosely applied. And if that bothers you, that's fine. If it doesn't bother you, it's still a fun list to look at. Of the top 50, I have read 14, which is, I read whatever this word thriller, whatever number of genres that umbrellas it's something that I read. I read crime stuff, I read detective stuff, I read spy fiction, I read perhaps not straightforward sort of supermarket thrillers, which is not to disparage them in any way, but I do dip into this genre. So 14 is a bit on the low side. Of the rest of the top 50, there are some that I don't know at all, and some I've heard of the author and just have chosen not to read them. And there's a whole bunch also where I know the author and I've read in some cases multiple books by that author, just not the one that made the list, and we can talk about that as well. I've taken down from the shelves a whole bunch of books to illustrate this list. I'm going to go through it. I suggest, as soon as I can log on, hold on one second, let me pause. Sorry about that, my screen locked up behind me, and I've got my phone resting on my laptop where I'm going to scroll through. I'll put the link to this article in the New York Times. Is it available? I can try and put a guest link. I think it's probably open to the public, although I'm a subscriber. And I've got it going in the background, so I'll be looking at that just to qualify the books. But worth opening it up and following along so you can see the covers of the books, because while I have some of the books here, there's many here that I let me dive in. Okay, at number 50 is Lisa Jewell. None of this is true. I've not read any Lisa Jewell, blurbed on the front, this edition I got here by Lucy Foley, who I haven't read either. Let me know if you think none of this is true, is a good book and a good Lisa Jewell book. And number 49 is The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Anthony Horowitz, oddly on this list, probably uniquely on this list, is an author that my kids have read and my mother has read, and I think still reads. Anthony Horowitz, so first came across Anthony Horowitz because he was writing the Alex Rider books, which were children's spy books. My kids raced through those when they were younger. He's been writing for many years, wrote for TV. So I think he's the originator of Foyle's War, which is a show my mum watched, and having watched and loved Foyle's War, I think I'm getting this right. So then she's now reading his adult fiction as well. So I'm pretty sure she's read Magpie Murders. I have not read any Anthony Horowitz except the parts of the Alex Rider books my kids were reading that I read along with them, or just sort of, I can't say that I read the books, but I flicked through them each time to make sure, or just to see what they were getting a kick out of. That's number 49 is Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Number 48 is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I don't know Chris Whitaker. I don't know this book, and can't say anything. Oh, it's on the front cover. It says this was a read with Jenna choice. So that's that. 47 is The Push by Ashley Audrain. I don't think I've ever heard of The Push or Ashley Audrain. Also on the cover, it's got a Good Morning America book club. This is a few years old already. So that's The Push by Ashley Audrain, in at number 47. We'll whiz through the ones that I don't know. Before I go to sleep, at 46, S.J. Watson. Now, this book I have heard of, but I haven't read. Let me know if this is it was voted for by Riley Sager, who's one of those authors who is using a non-gender specific first name for whatever reason. Number 45 is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I haven't read Mexican Gothic. I'm suspicious of books that have a nationality in the title. Apart from the exception to the rule is, of course, American Pastoral, but every other book that is American something, there's something dodgy about it. Mexican Gothic maybe falls into the same trap. I don't know. That's a 45. At 44, you've got Jennifer Hillier, Jar of Hearts, and a spooky cover, according to this. Some secrets won't stay buried. I have not read Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. We'll get to some books I have read, I promise you. 43, Lush Life by Richard Price. So I've read some Richard Price. I've got some Richard Price books here, including Lush Life. So the first Richard Price I read was Clockers. I got this marvellous hardback edition, which was by the Bloomsbury Modern Library, which was an anniversary edition. Clockers, I think, was made into a Spike Lee film, and that's a terrific read. I read all these 10, 15 years ago. And then Lush Life. So I have this, I highly recommend. A good street-level crime novel, as far as I can remember. Russell Banks on the back of this book is saying, with Lush Life, Richard Price has become our postmodern American Balzac. That's high praise indeed. And then I read another Richard Price book, which is Samaritan, which I picked up in a second-hand bookshop in Cardiff, in Wales, a few years ago. Troutmark Books, if you're ever there, it was in a sort of indoor mall area. Anyway, I recommend Troutmark Books. I enjoyed Samaritan. So Lush Life, that is the first one on this list that I have read. Now, as I move the books from that pile, I'm going to have to find place for them all. Okay, this is going to get very messy. That was 43, Lush Life by Richard Price. Now, 42, You by, what's her name, Caroline Kepnes. And that's been a Netflix show with a creepy gossip girl guy as the stalker thing, and they made several seasons of it. Not really my thing. Number 41 is Tell No One by Harlan Coben, and this is an example. So I have Harlan Coben. This is an example of an author who I know writes these kind of books. I'm sure they are page turning and fab. With this kind of author, I tend to avoid the standalones, and this is going to be a recurring theme, especially as we get higher up this chart. So I have read. I have a one-volume edition of the first three Myron Bolitar books, which was a series character that Coben has written. I don't know if he's still writing, and I like a series, especially when it comes to sort of crime and detective stuff and PI stuff. I love a good series. So this is a great way to decide if this series is for me. I read the first three Myron Bolitar books in one go. That is Deal Breaker, Drop Shot, Fade Away. And one of the things about series books, they tend to have these kind of forgettable, interchangeable titles, which is a problem. I don't have a date on this, but this was over 10 years ago I read this. And you know, perfectly serviceable, enjoyable. Myron Bolitar's a great character. He has a guy who's with him, is heavy. This is a pattern you see often in these kind of things, where the dogged detective and has a muscle hard guy who helps him with all the punching. I enjoyed these, not enough to read any further. So that's the only three Harlan Coben books. And now I know that he's now sort of become this great standalone thriller writer, and they're making a lot of Netflix 5-part, 6-part shows. And sure, he's perfectly great fun. That is number 41, Tell No One by Harlan Coben. We're going to have to go a bit faster. Dark Matter at 40 by Blake Crouch. I'm pretty sure, I know I've read this. I don't have my copy. I read this because there was a year in 2016 where I was a member of the Book of the Month Club. I was given that a year's subscription as a gift by a group of people for something that I'd done. And so I received Dark Matter as part of that subscription and thought it was absolutely rubbish. And Blake Crouch has gone on, and I see him still probably called Recursion. People love Blake Crouch. Dark Matter was sort of early in on the multiverse trend. I don't know if you remember, there was a show with Jerry, what's-his-face from Stand By Me, who then married, what's her name, who was Mystique in those early X-Men movies. Jerry Connell was in a show called Sliders in the 80s. I think I've got that right. And Dark Matter was the same thing. It was, he's lost in the multiverse, just trying to get home to his family. So the whole Odyssey thing going on, which is turns out to be a running theme through every book ever where anyone's on a journey. I really did not rate Dark Matter and don't understand how it's but he seems to have that sort of soft sci-fi thrillery thing, which seems to have tickled a lot of people's fancies. That's number 40, Dark Matter. At number 39, we have Fingersmith by Sarah Waters, which is a whole different. No, to lump this in with thrillers, this is high class lesbian Victorian romp with a is it a thriller? It's just a plot-driven, interesting story where you think you know what's happening, and that's not really what's happening, and the character at the heart of things, it turns out not to actually understand what's happening and what's being done to them. Really, really good. A bit chunky. I've read another Sarah Waters called The Paying Guest, which is also excellent, twisty. So twisty, if something's twisty, does that make it a thriller? Anyway, happy to see the songs. I think this is more literary than genre, but great reading nevertheless. That's number 39, Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. What else we got on here? 38 is I Am Pilgrim. Now this I haven't read I Am Pilgrim. This is a real sort of airport buy. You're going to build as a chunky thriller, and I think there's a spy thriller. I don't know, there's a fingerprint on the cover of this edition they've got here. So I have actually been tempted. This is the kind of thing that I think I would take and read on holiday. I just haven't got around to it. There's so many other books, I think. So it's not a high priority for me. But if I was really stuck and I didn't have anything to read, I definitely think I would pick this up because I've only heard great things about it. I Am Pilgrim by Terry Hayes came out in 2014 at number 38. Number 37 is Your House Will Pay by Steph Char. I have not read Your House Will Pay by Steph Char. I have read one other book by Steph Char. I read Follow Her Home by Steph Char, and this was egregiously bad. And I'm not talking about the plotting. This is also sort of meant to be noirish, and clearly the author is very impressed with Raymond Chandler and sits quite close to him on the shelf. If it hadn't been for that, Michael Chabon would have got away with it. This was so badly written. I mean, on a sentence level, just poorly constructed. I went back and read my review on Goodreads at the time, and I picked out this sentence where I think this is verbatim a quote from the thing. We traced our steps to the car. Now, it was just going from the apartment to the car. We traced our steps to the car. Not we walked to the car, or we got in the car, or we came out the apartment. We traced. Now, that's not a phrase. You retrace your steps somewhere when you want to find your way back, but you don't trace your steps somewhere, and you don't trace steps just as a way of going to your bloody car. And this was just badly edited, a poorly written a book which didn't hold any logic. And I remember there was a sort of femme fatale at the center of this, and my review said the least sexy. It was like somebody who'd never understood or knew anything about sexiness. Right? It was a child's version of what a sexy femme fatale might do. Just really weak. And so I will not read Your House Will Pay by Steph Char. Sorry, Steph, if you've matured and become a better writer. This was so weak, it put me off reading the author forever. Number 36 is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This was a massive hit. I haven't read this. Again, sort of a real airport buy, holiday read, and good luck, and no judgment anyone who's loved that. I only heard good things. S.A. Cosby is at 35 with All the Sinners Bleed. We'll get to S.A. Cosby because I have read one of his books, but he appears again later on the list. African-American thriller writer. I think there's more than once on this list. So 35, All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. 34 is The Likeness by Tana French, which is the second in the Dublin Murder Squad books. I have a copy. I haven't read it. It's unusual for me to show a copy of a book here that I haven't read, but the reason I bring it up here, and Tana French is going to show up again more than once in this list. This is the second in the Murder Squad books. The first one I read. The second one I bought in March 2015. Just haven't found time for it yet. That tells you kind of where I'm at with Tana French. A beloved author. She just published the third in a different series. I think there are 4 or 5 in this Dublin Murder Squad, loosely connected. But the second series about this Chicago detective relocated to rural Ireland. I think she just published a third book. Again, beloved. I did not love the first in the Dublin Murder Squad enough to have even started reading the second one. Maybe I'll get to it at some point when I've got a TBR pile, but I keep adding to it with new books, and that's why this has managed to sit for over 10 years without me reading it. Okay, what's next? That was 34, The Likeness by Tana French. 33 is another Tana French book, The Wych Elm. I don't know if that's part of the Dublin Murder Squad or if that's a standalone. I don't know which that is, but that is at 33. Number 32 is Notes on Execution by Dania Kukafka. Kukafka. I don't know this author. I don't recognize this book. I don't know anything about Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka at 32. At 31, you've got William Landy, is the name of the author, Defending Jacob. And I was listening to the New York Times book podcast yesterday, and I heard them talking about this book. One of the presenters was saying this is the book they would want everyone to discover. But I understand it's one of those bad seed kind of books where Jacob is a child murderer, and the book is about spoilers. The book, I think, is about his father not believing, and the trial and the thing, and what did he do, and did he actually kill somebody? I'm not sure. I've got to run my life for that kind of thing. Number 30 is The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen. Professor Nguyen wrote this book. I don't understand. This is a literary book, not a thriller, not terribly good in my opinion. I really wasn't terribly impressed with this, but it won the Pulitzer Prize in 2016. I know a lot of people like it. They made a miniseries about it with Robert Downey Jr., which I think nobody saw, and sort of disappeared. And as is sometimes the case with these things, the shine goes off a book when an associated movie or TV property fails. And so that's why I think people have sort of kind of forgotten about it, even though if it had just been left as a book, this was very well received and beloved by many people, not by me. That's number 30. Number 29 is The Plot by Jean Hanff Korelitz, or Jean Hanff Korelitz, depending on gender and I guess. I don't know this at all, don't know anything about this book. That's at number 29. Number 28, we have The Perfect Nanny by Leila Slimani. And while I recognize the cover and the author felt familiar to me, this is a book that's translated from the French by Sam Taylor. Leila Slimani, I think, has published since, and she's won the Prix Goncourt in France. And everything looked familiar to me. And so I went to my shelf and found out that I have read this book, but for me, it was not called The Perfect Nanny. It was called Lullaby. So the same cover, same translator, but this was originally published. This is by Faber in the UK. So in the UK, but the edition they've got on screen here has got Penguin, but I think that's Penguin in the US. Is called The Perfect Nanny. My edition is called Lullaby. Yeah, it's this sort of a child dies, and is it the nanny's fault? And I think I enjoyed this at the time. That's in at 28. What else have we got? At 27, Liane Moriarty's Big Little Lies. I think she'd just come out with a sequel, or coming out with a sequel, Big Little Truths. This was a huge hit and a successful TV show. This is blurred on the cover by Stephen King. Moriarty, I believe, Australian, have I got that right? HBO show with Nicole Kidman and a whole bunch of people and secrets and stuff. Oh, it's won Emmys and Golden Globes. So been a massive hit, which probably prompted her to write a book sequel, but I think the book sold millions as well. Number 26, a little book I don't know if anyone's heard of, called The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I haven't read it. Lots of people have. Lots of people love Dan Brown. I've seen the 2 or 3 movies that they've made so far based on the Robert Langdon character. All the movies were rubbish. Now, I'm not suggesting the books are. I understand they're page-turning, super fun reads, and I haven't read them. So let me know. Number 25 is Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell. Daniel Woodrell, if I've got this wrong, I'm sorry. I think died in the last couple of years. Wait, I'm going to have to pause and look that up because that's a terrible thing to say. It's not true. 1 second. Okay, yeah, it died in 2025, so at least I hadn't made that up. Winter's Bone, which first came to my attention, was made into a movie. This was the first time that we noticed Jennifer Lawrence, I believe, and she plays a young teenager. It's bleak and dark, and they're looking for a missing meth dealer who is her father, and she's going to be held responsible. And the whole thing was really, really strong. And then I went and read the book, and it is magnificent. Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell, and it's got a little Jennifer Lawrence sticker that they put on the book that's not original on it. I read this in 2017 after the movie. I didn't see the movie. I've never seen the movie, but I read Winter's Bone because I'd heard great things about Daniel Woodrell, and I've read more Daniel Woodrell since. So I've read this trilogy. I have a bind up of this, the Bayou trilogy, which includes Under the Bright Lights, Muscle for the Wing, and The Ones You Do, and that's absolutely outstanding. And I also read this, the Maid's version by Daniel Woodrell. Really highly recommend. Again, none of these authors are the same, which makes me believe the ones I haven't read and are probably not going to read. I really want to not be too judgy about them because I don't know how any of these things fit together under the same genre. You know, Daniel, The Winter's Bone is not the same as The Sympathizer, and is not the same as some of the other books on this list. But that's where we're at. That is what number we're at. That's number 25. So we're halfway through Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell. Number 24 is The Dry by Jane Harper. Also part of a series, I believe. Is she also Australian, Jane Harper? I've heard good things. I haven't read it. Number 23, again, not a thriller. They've got a number 23, The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, the third novel by Ms. Tartt, and I had a look at some of the actual top tens of the people who contributed to this list, and I saw her second book appear, The Little Friend, appear quite a few times. My copy of Secret History, her first most celebrated novel, went missing a long time ago. I've got my copy of The Little Friend here. I've got Donna Tartt, The Goldfinch. This is from January 2014. I bought it in hardback. Even then, I was excited to read it. It's a great, chunky wonder of a novel. And we've been waiting since 2014, now 12 years since Donna Tartt last published. Donna Tartt also my favorite ever, and this is the answer to the question I've ever asked, my favorite ever author photo. Love the suit, love the hair, love those giant man hands, and this is 12 years ago. I'm sure she's looking just as fabulous, but my favorite author photo of any male or female novelist that I've enjoyed. Miss Donna Tartt, I'd love to get more work from her, but we can enjoy the stuff that she's given us. That's a 23, The Goldfinch. 22 is The Constant Gardener by John le Carré. So this is a kind of situation where le Carré's great works all predate the 21st century, and they've just, I think, kind of squeezed in a 21st century into this. I haven't read The Constant Gardener. I haven't read much le Carré. I haven't read one le Carré, and that was because it was part of the series. It was short, and I found this lovely edition. So the only thing I've read is Call for the Dead, which is the first George Smiley book before Smiley was really a thing. But this is a book featuring George Smiley, and then Smiley is the lead character in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and then all sorts of those. And then since then, le Carré's son Nick Harkaway has carried on writing books about the character George Smiley. This is the only one I read. I found this Penguin edition in secondhand and read that about 10 years ago. The Constant Gardener was a movie. I think that's the movie Rachel Weisz won an Oscar for, Best Supporting Actress. Rachel Weisz, who was in school with my wife and definitely lies about her age. Now married to Daniel Craig, of course. I believe that's the movie of The Constant Gardener was the movie that she won the Oscar for. 22. 21, we've got Room by Emma Donoghue. I mean, a thriller. Yeah, I read Room. This isn't the edition that I read, which went missing. I must lend to someone. This is my daughter-in-law's mother was moving from her home and left a whole bunch of books out on the street for people to come pick up, and I'd sent a WhatsApp message to a bunch of people saying I'm getting rid, and I went and retrieved her copy of Room. So thank you, Iris, for that. And because I knew my book had gone missing, or maybe I borrowed it, I don't know. Anyway, I definitely read it. I didn't see the movie because I'm not sure I could sit through that movie. And the book, yeah, I guess it's a thriller. But really, I don't know. Just a novel. That's a 21. Number 20 is another ton of French. This is the third one we've got. This is Broken Harbour. Again, not sure if that's a standalone. And on the New York Times podcast yesterday, one of the presenters is a massive ton of French stan, and said that Broken Harbour was their most favourite book of hers. Number 19 is Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects. I have not read Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects, but we will come back to Gillian Flynn. That's a foreshadowing. Number 18 is Stephen King's 11/22/63. Listen. I have never read any Stephen King because I don't like doing scary things, and his particular brand of scary, which is slightly supernatural, creeps me the hell out. I have a good friend of mine, someone to whom I lend a lot of books, and he's always trying to. And he's not a massive Stephen. He's not one of these Stephen King fanatics, but he thinks that plot for plot, Stephen King's books are fantastically put together, and he's on holiday right now, and he has sworn to bring me back a particular Stephen King book, which he insists that I read, and he wants me to read The Dead Zone. So I may, having reached the age of 57, having never read Stephen King, I may later this year read my first Stephen King, with no promise to read anything. Like I made it my business to know the plot to It and The Stand and Pet Sematary and Cujo and Carrie and The Shining, because if I ever get kidnapped and tortured, I'd want to not be surprised by what's coming. But I really don't need these images floating around in my head. I may read it. Anyway, long story short, I have not read 11/22/63. Is this the number 18 best thriller of the 21st century? I feel like they had to put a Stephen King in here. Maybe this is the best one of this century. I don't know. Number 17 is Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. This is a standalone Lehane that I have not read. We'll come back to him shortly. Shutter Island was made into a movie directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo, I believe, and a successful movie, but I have not read that. Dennis Lehane at number 17. Number 16, we have Michael Connelly's The Lincoln Lawyer. An entertaining show on Netflix. So I've watched all the seasons of The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. There are a bunch of these. So The Lincoln Lawyer was the first featuring this character, Mickey Haller. And there's a whole bunch of them that follow. Before Mickey Haller, Michael Connelly has a character called Harry Bosch. I've read the first three Harry Bosch. Again, this is another blind up, like the Harlan Coben. Orion put these out in the UK. This is the first three Harry, which is short for Hieronymus Bosch books. The first three are The Black Echo, The Black Ice. I mean, the first and second books were both The Black something. And then the third one, The Concrete Blonde. Again, these sort of interchangeable, forgettable titles. So it's better to call them the Harry Bosch Mysteries. I read this during COVID, all three of these in one go, and didn't take it any further. Now, Harry Bosch, the connection between Harry Bosch and the Lincoln Lawyer, Mickey Haller, who's the Lincoln Lawyer in that book and the subsequent Lincoln Lawyer books, are that they are half siblings, half brothers, I believe. And then some of the late, there's must be 20 going up to 30 of Harry Bosch books. And there's also 10, 15, 20 Mickey Haller books, the Lincoln Lawyer books. And at some point they cross over. So there's some, because they're half siblings, they exist in the same universe for sure. And there's some books that have both Harry Bosch, and Harry Bosch was originally is a policeman, I believe, a detective. I don't think he's. Maybe I'm getting mixed up with the TV show. I did watch the first 6 seasons of Bosch with that great actor. What's his name? He's terrific. Anyway, something Gulliver. I can't remember what his name is. So I watched those, but I'm just not going to read any more Michael Connelly. Again, maybe if I ever get stuck with nothing to read, I might read more of those, because they were page-turning enough. A little macabre, which I don't mind. The Lincoln Lawyer might be more my speed, actually, because I really like a courtroom drama, and I love the TV show, but they're good. So with each time a new season, there should be, we're due for a new season in the next month or two. We get Reacher first. A new season of The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, and they're 10 episodes, and I burn through them in about 3 days, and then forget about it. But then I sort of itch you in the ear, would it be nice if we had another season of The Lincoln Lawyer, because it's exactly the kind of thing I don't mind burning through in 2 days. Okay, that is at 16, The Lincoln Lawyer. At 15, we've got Dare Me by Megan Abbott. I've not read Dare Me by Megan Abbott, but I have 2 other books by Megan Abbott. I read Queenpin by Megan Abbott, and this is a while ago. And this is when I was looking for more sort of crime thrillers written by women. And this is, I bought this in 2012, and this was withdrawn from the Winnipeg Public Library, so that's nice. And I enjoyed that, and it was sort of nasty and dark and femme fatale-ish enough. And then I haven't read any other Megan Abbott, except I bought this graphic novel, Normandy Gold, which wasn't terribly good. Sort of sexy 70s tripe. That was written by Megan Abbott, I believe, or the story by Megan Abbott, maybe. No, written by Megan Abbott and Alison Galen. It says that's the credit. They both wrote it. So that's me and Megan Abbott. I haven't read Dare Me. Again, so Gillian Flynn is blurbing it on the cover of this edition they've got up here. Number 14. Okay, deep breath. Number 14 is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver, which I did read way back when, and 20 years ago. I really, really hate We Need to Talk About Kevin. I think it's manipulative. I think it is cake having and eating. I think it is wrong-headed in many ways, and put me off ever wanting to read anything else by this author, because it's not a novel, and it's not a story, and it's not a thriller. It is a manifesto. It is a manifesto concocted by the author as a justification for a perfectly valid decision not to have children, because the whole thesis of this novel is that if you have children, one of them might turn out to be a serial killer. And the whole book is written to justify what I believe is a valid decision, but writing a book to justify your opinion instead of actually telling a story or entertaining I really hate this. I threw this across the room when I finished it. I don't like holding it. I certainly wasn't going to see the movie, and part of the reason why Tilda Swinton creeps me out is because she plays the mother in the movie. The son, Kevin, is played by Ezra, what's his face? Ezra cancelled, who played the Flash, who's seems to be a troubled character by all accounts. It's number 14 here. I really, really despise We Need to Talk About Kevin. But hold your horses, because there's a book coming up that I hate almost as much. Number 13 is Case Histories by Kate Atkinson. Well, I've read a lot of Kate Atkinson. Again, so these are thrillers. This is the character here is a PI, but Kate Atkinson had previously written literary fiction and has since written literary fiction, or you call genre fiction if you've got Life After Life. It's a sort of weird time-traveling, I don't know what you would call that. That and a sequel of God in Ruins, is it? But this is a series of books. Case History is the first. A series of books about a private detective called Jackson Brodie. This was also made into a TV series, 2 or 3 series, going back now, or it's 15 plus years since it was made. When does Case Histories come out? It's hard to believe it's actually this century, because it feels like 20 years since I saw the TV show. So I read this, oh my goodness. So I read Case Histories only in 2019. I think I must have seen the TV show by then. This was published in 2004. The TV show starring Jason Isaacs as Jackson Brodie. Hello to Jason Isaacs. And I've got the first 3 of these. So I've got here Case Histories, I've got One Good Turn, and I've got When Will There Be Good News. I actually recently picked up the 5th. So I've read the first 3. I picked up the 5th one in a secondhand book sale happening on the street not far from me. And having picked up the 5th, I thought, well, then I'll go and get the 4th. So I've just ordered the 4th one. It's going to our friends in Connecticut. My wife's going to the States in a couple of weeks. And so I am, even though it's been 10 years, probably since, no, not 10 years, I only read the first one. So 2021, I read When Will There Be Good News? And now I've got 4 and 5. Well, I've got 5 here and 4 is coming. So I will carry on reading Jackson Brodie. And they're good enough. They're a bit chunky, and they're not sort of classic PI stories. He's a dogged detective, but his life's a bit of a mess. But they're funny, and they're lighter than some of the more macabre stuff we've seen. Interesting to see this on the list here, and this is an American list. So Kate Atkinson may be getting some credit because she writes more literary stuff. Maybe it's a way of including. Maybe Life After Life wasn't good enough to make the top 100 of outside the thriller, so somehow they've managed to get her on. I don't know. I didn't realize Case Histories was so well known in the States. The TV show was a BBC TV show. I'm not even sure that made it to the States, and is long gone. Got cancelled after 2 or 3 seasons. So interesting to me. That's at number 13, quite high up, case histories. Number 12, we've got The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This was a massive book, sold billions, and she's published since Paula Hawkins, but nothing, and never achieved the same numbers. I just looked for my copy of The Girl on the Train because I definitely read it in hardback, and I must have lent it to someone. It's not here. I remember watching this is immediately in the years after Gone Girl. Foreshadowing. The Girl on the Train was the next in the lot, coming down the pike, and was a hugely successful thriller. And I read it. I picked it up because everyone was reading it, and I wanted to get it. Here's my take on The Girl on the Train. If you know the story, so it's also made into a movie with Emily Blunt, I believe. I can't remember who directed. A woman on a train, as the train's going past, believes that she's seen a crime, but she's also an unreliable narrator because she has an alcohol problem. And then, so will they believe her? Where did she see it? What did she actually see? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's page-turningly constructed enough, I guess. My sense with The Girl on the Train is, as I was about halfway through, I realized, we've now met all the characters in this book. And one of them is going to be the bad guy or girl. And there's only so many characters it can be. And I guess it has to be that one. And I say maybe a third, less than halfway through the book, that was my conclusion. And I just read the rest of the book until it got to the point where, look who it is. I can't believe it. No, well, there was no one else. No one else had any speaking lines. You gave me a cast of 5 people, and this one was the person who saw it, and that one was the person that something was done to, and this is the only person it could have been. The mystery, this hazy figure that she can't quite recognize because she drank too much and can't put a face to the name. There's only one face in the whole cast. So I thought that was super weak, and that's at number 12. What else we got? Let me just have a slurp of water. Number 11 is Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby, who we've seen twice already on this list. Blacktop Wasteland is the only S.A. Cosby that I've read. So I have a copy of Blacktop Wasteland here, published in the US by Headline. It's it's a UK edition, I beg your pardon. So it's sort of a mass market hybrid. On the back, we've got quotes by Lee Child of Reacher fame, Dennis Lehane of More and On, Mark Billingham, who I've never read, and Walter Mosley, who I adore. My favorite African-American Jewish crime writer. S.A. Cosby, Blacktop Wasteland. I know it fated as an African-American writer, writing gritty crime. This was okay for me. So I haven't read other S.A. Cosby stuff, and I see mixed reviews occasionally with stuff. Okay, this was Barnes & Noble had this as a monthly pick. Stephen King on the cover says a fast-paced, bare-knuckle thriller. Okay. I'm not sure I'm on the S.A. Cosby train. That now into the top 10. At number 10, we have Bluebird by Attica Locke. Attica Locke is leaning out a shot to bring my Attica Locke books. I love Attica Locke. I have read everything she's written so far. Her latest is I bought last winter when I was in London, but left it behind in London because I didn't have enough room. My mum's coming out. Hopefully she's going to bring me the most recent one. So I've got Bluebird there. Cutting Season is a standalone. Some of these have the same characters recurring. Bluebird was that the first one with Darren Matthews, and then Heaven My Home, and the newest one is also Darren Matthews, and then Blackwater Rising and Pleasantville have a different character. Jay Porter was the anyway. She's absolutely fantastic. Really, and the Cutting Season is an amazing standalone crime mystery set on a former plantation, and all the sort of macabre history that brings up as well plays into it. If you haven't read Attica Locke, and I love these Serpent's Tail editions from the UK, great publisher of crime and thrillers, Serpent's Tail. This one's in hardback, and these are. If you haven't read Attica Locke, definitely you should. Bluebird is terrific. He's a black Texan Ranger, and constantly torn between solving the crime and whatever's going on in his personal life. Nuanced, clever, well plotted, just terrific stuff. That's at number 10, Bluebird by Attica Locke. Number 9. Okay, here we go. Number 9 is Slow Horses by Mick Herron. So this is spy fiction and almost comedy spy fiction, except the spy stuff is real. Slow Horses has now been made into an Apple TV show. In this instance, I've read all the Slow Horses books to date and watched every episode of the Apple TV show. New season starting soon, which must be the 5th or the 6th book. Okay, I've got them all here just to show you. Okay, so I've got a bunch of the Slow Horses books. I've got everything messy here. A bunch of the Slow Horses books. The first couple I've lent out because these are the books that constantly people, have you got that? I keep hearing about Mick Herron, have you got those? And I keep getting them back in and lending them out again, but I've got more recent ones I have in hardback. One of them I have signed by Mick Herron because during lockdown, I think I paid to get a signed hardback edition of one of his books, and got to go on a Zoom with all the people that paid for advance copy of the book signed. We went on a Zoom and had a chat with Mick Herron. I love those. I've also got I've got these short little novellas which sort of fit into the Slow Horse universe. I've got 4 books in the Zoe What's-Her-Face series. What's her name? Zoe Bohm. Which is now also made in a TV show, which I didn't watch, with Emma Thompson. Well, it doesn't really fit me. I've got 4 of those. Down Cemetery Road, The Last Voice You Hear, Why We Die, Smoke and Whispers. So that's, I don't think in the same universe as the Slow Horses, but 4 of those. And I've got a sort of standalone here called Nobody Walks, which kind of is in the Slow Horses universe, and Dolphin Junction, which is short stories, some of which from Slow Horses, some of which Zoe Bohm, and I'm all in on Mick Herron. I think he's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't read Slow Horses, you're in for a treat because it works as spy fiction, as crime fiction. It works as a comedy thriller. And if you like a series, if you like seeing the characters come back in, as I do, I love a series. And Slow Horses, which I bought that one long before it was optioned for a TV show. I had bought this because I'd done a search for spy fiction. I was on a spy fiction kick. And this was recommended to me, I think, before they were even republished. So back in the early days, I got these super cheap. No one was buying them. And then suddenly they started taking off, and it was republished by another publishing house in the UK. And then the show was picked up by TV, and then the show was released. And then everyone wanted to get them. Now, these early editions, you can't find them secondhand anymore, but they've been republished a number of times. Really, really my highest recommendation for Mick Herron. That's a number 9. Really love it. He's British, by the way, Mick Herron. These are spies in the UK, failed spies, Slow Horses, if you like. Okay, number 8. Number 8 is Razorblade Tears. So S.A. Cosby, this is the 3rd or 4th entry. So I said Black Dog Wasteland was the only one of his I've read. Razorblade Tears is here at number 8 on this list. Number 7 on the list is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which is last year, 2 years ago. This was a massive, 2024 it says, a massive hit. I have not read it. I could have done, like if it had shown up at the time when I was doing a book haul, an order, I might have ordered this and read this just to see what all the fuss was about. But having missed it then, I'm not sure I need to go back to it. Number 6, this is super interesting. Number 6, again, thriller? Number 6 is, lovely to see this book on the list. I'm not sure it qualifies. My Sister the Serial Killer by Oisin Braithwaite. Braithwaite, I beg your pardon. So that is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oisin Braithwaite. Highly recommended. Really fun, really unusual. I've read this other book by hers, which I picked up for £1. It was a charity book called the book was published for charity, so it wasn't like I bought a charity. The Baby Is Mine by Oisin Braithwaite. And then last year she put out Cursed Daughters, which I also read in hardback and enjoyed very much. But the book being mentioned here, My Sister the Serial Killer, it's about a woman who doesn't get noticed as much as her sister. Her sister gets involved with men, and then when things get inconvenient, somehow she dispatches them. And the less noticed sister, who's a nurse, ends up cleaning up after her and getting her sister who she loves, getting her out of trouble, because it turns out their sister does this more than once. Really dark, super feminine look at relationships and shitty men and the bond between sisters, and just a fun read. My Sister the Serial Killer, I think this was a long list of something. It was in there. Whatever, this had plenty of praise when it came out. I think the cover is striking. I love that sort of neon green and worth reading. If you didn't pick it up, then I would go back to this and read this because it's fantastic. Cursed Daughters was great, but this is where the real fun is to be had. My Sister the Serial Killer by Ian Kim Braithwaite, in at number 6 on this list. Okay, what else we got in the top 5? We have at number 5, No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. I haven't read No Country for Old Men. I have read a bunch of other Cormac McCarthy, including The Road, including the Border trilogy, which I still love to this day. And then the first of the last 2 books that he published, I read the first of those in hardback, and it was shit. I haven't read No Country for Old Men, and then I haven't read Blood Meridian, which everyone raised about. No, I'm guessing Blood Meridian would have been on this list if it had been published in the 21st century, but No Country for Old Men is the book that was published in the 21st century. Won the Oscar, I think, Best Film. Is that right? And Javier Bardem won Best Supporting Actor. I've seen the film. But I have not read the book, and that's in at number 5. At number 4, we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Oh, by Stieg Larsson. The first of Millennium Trilogy. That is the whole Millennium Trilogy, which I lapped these up, absolutely loved them in their day, really got a kick out of them, so much that I read the first 3 follow-up books that were written by David Lagerkrantz, which continues using the same characters, Lisbeth Salander and what's his face, Mikael Blomkvist. Really like the go. Dark, Scandi, lots of sort of really violent unpleasantness, and I got a kick out of those. So we recommend that. Good to see that number 4. Interesting to see that people are still reading this and still remember that. I wonder if anyone's picking it up today, but those were good read, dark and nasty. Number 3 is In the Woods, I beg your pardon, by Tana French. So this is the only Tana French that I read, and this is the first in the Dublin Murder Squad. Was this her first book? Certainly the one that brought it to everyone's attention. I picked this up secondhand in a hardback, would have cost me £3. I read this in 2015, and as I say, I found it a bit treacly, like wading through treacle, like just a bit heavy. I like my thrillers to be plot driven and to zip by, and this was, I think, hard work, which is why 10 years later I have not read the sequel despite owning it, and that's in number 3. People love Tana French. This is her 4th book on this list. People really love Tana French, and good for them. If that's your jam, I'm happy for you. Please tell me what I missed. As I say, that's the only one I've read and didn't get it. Number 2 on the list is Mystic River by Dennis Lehane, and I've waited till now to talk about Dennis Lehane. This is another standalone. This was made into a movie directed by Clint Eastwood, I believe. I think Tim Robbins won Best Supporting Actor. I think twice Oscar-winning Sean Penn is in this, and former husband of Madonna. And I think I've seen the movie. I haven't seen Shutter Island, but I think I did see this movie, but I haven't read it. But let me talk a little bit about Dennis Lehane, because I love Dennis Lehane. And I haven't read these 2 standalone things because I've read Dennis Lehane's series books, starting with, there's 6 books in the Kenzie and Gennaro series, some of the best private eye detective books I've ever read. The 4th one, there, Gone Baby Gone, was made into a terrific movie by Ben Affleck. Again, foreshadowing. Each one of these is just outstanding because they're working class, street level private detectives, probably unlicensed, or at one point they become licensed. A man and a woman who have been at various times romantically involved, but they work together and they're friends from the neighborhood. This is blue collar Boston in the 80s and 90s. And they help people. Those are the crimes they solve. They just sort of help people get involved, sticking their noses into things, and occasionally they'll get paid to do a job. But each one of these is terrific. A really solid series. If you like sort of gritty crime fiction, the Kenzie and Gennaro series by Dennis Lehane, I imagine these have been reprinted. I got the first 4 in these sort of mass market paperback editions. I don't remember when I picked these up. This is a long time ago. I read these in a secondhand bookshop in the States somewhere. I got 4 of these, and then this one was actually marking the L section. I took all 4 of them off the shelf, and these 2 I would have picked up. The last 2 picked up secondhand ordered online. And then after those, I read this other trilogy by Dennis Lehane, which is, not, the crime evolved, but this is heavy historical fiction. The World Gone By, Live by Night, and The Given Day. And I believe the 3 of them together were made into a single movie, or directed by Ben Affleck, because the Boston Connection, and Affleck loves Lehane, and was a big budget movie. I think it was called Live by Night. Is that the name of the movie? And disappeared and flopped, and must have lost the studio a lot of money and lost Affleck a lot of credit. Was this before or post Argo? Was this what he did with his Argo capital? He made Live by Night, or was Argo his redemption? I don't remember the timeline. But whatever it was, whatever he gained from producing Argo and directing Argo, he lost with his version of Live by Night. So that's Lehane. He's at number 2 with Mystic River, which I haven't read, but do not mistake that for not respecting or loving Dennis Lehane. I just read his series books, each one of them absolutely fantastic. I always get nervous with a standalone, because in a standalone book, anything can happen. And in a standalone thriller, the person you've been following and rooting for all the way through, something terrible can happen to them. And that's why I prefer to read. This is just me as a reader, it's so subjective. I prefer to read series books because I just like knowing they're coming back. There's years of therapy for you to unpack there, if I only had done it. Number 1. And this, if you look at the top 10s that all the people contributing to this list put together, this book appears an astonishing number of times. This is number 1, and not just this is very number 1, chosen as the top thriller of the 21st century, and it is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I've read Gone Girl. I can't find my copy, so I must have lent it to someone, begrudgingly lent it to someone. I didn't see the movie, directed by David Fincher, starring Ben Affleck, there's that man again, and Rosamund Pike, and Neil Patrick Harris. But I haven't seen the movie, but I did read the book, and I hate that book. Like, I hate it for how manipulative, how shitty it is, how the ending is like a punch in the face to anyone who likes reading. And here's my take. Maybe there'll be spoilers in this, and I apologize if you haven't read it. Gone Girl is about a guy who is interviewed because his wife is gone. She's gone missing. His wife, Amy, I can't remember. Is Nick the guy? And the early chapters are seen from the point of view of Nick, and he's being interviewed by the police, and they're asking him questions, and the questions are awkward because he doesn't know what's happened to his wife. Or does he know what's happened to his wife? Is he responsible for what's happened to his wife? Where is she? What could he have done? What's he done to the body? If there isn't a body, can he be charged? Then at some point we switch POV to the wife. There's a lot of spoilers here, I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but page turning, like you cannot imagine. It's a 400-page book, 450, something like that. A mass market paperback I read, and I just could not put it down. The kind of thing that would keep you up at night till you know what's going on. And here's where the real spoilers are. Because when you get to the end, it turns out they're all psychopaths. They're all mental. They're all shitty to each other. Each one is trying to get the other one back. It is behavior that is not recognizable or explicable in any correlation to actual human beings. They're just invented personalities that bear no relation to humanity or reality. And so there's no way of you seeing the clues to work out why and what the thing or what the plan was and how sneaky, because they're all sociopaths. Everybody, him, her, everyone involved is wackadoodle. And the ending of the book is utterly unpleasant and wacky, and here's the thing, and it's just had to be this way because everyone's a little bit crazy. And I have literally, we talk about, we need to talk about Kevin is queasy making and unpleasant, because the purpose of the book was not to tell the story. The purpose of the book was to justify the author's choices. This was a manipulative story written. Nowadays someone would suggest it was like written by AI. This is of course pre-AI. I'm not accusing Gillian Flynn of that, but designed in a laboratory to make you turn the page and to make you want to know what happened next. The pact between reader and writer when writing a thriller, when writing a mystery, when trying to uncover a mystery, is there has to be some kind of connection to reality, or it's supernatural. That's a whole other thing. Otherwise, you have to. That's the whole thing with Sherlock Holmes. Going back to the early stages of the locked room mysteries, there has to be when all is revealed at the end, even if it's something strange, like it was an orangutan that did it, if you know, you know, there has to be some kind of logical explanation. In this instance, the logical explanation is that everyone's just illogical. Because everyone's a sociopath and nobody behaves like a human being. So how did you possibly expect that the answer would be someone did something to someone that you could recognize the impetus or the motivation to behave in a certain way? You can't recognize any of it because none of it is remotely human. It's all authorial device that has just kept you going for 400 pages to reveal we're all crazy. Yeah, really, really hated Gone Girl. Hate seeing it at the top of this list, but understand massive, huge, massive success. And in the reading of it, I could not stop. It's only as I got to the end, I went, really? That's it? You manipulative bugger, because I really, really was unhappy. Anyway, that's the top 50. Go and look at this. It's super fun. Maybe I'll make another video. This has been an hour. This is plenty of me talking about books. I'm going to spend another hour now putting all these books back on the shelf because everything has to go back in alphabetical order. But that's fun. Top 50 thrillers of the 21st century as selected by a bunch of experts and collated by the New York Times. I'll put a link to the this, and there's also lots of other articles also, and people will be discussing this for weeks to come, I guess. All right, take care. God bless. Bye.